has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
And we are back, Ferrall, coast to coast, hour number 3, right here on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Carver High and Joe Lisi in for Scotty. Great to have everybody with us here. Big final hour. We'll finish off the NBA. We got some football. We've got college basketball tonight. Maybe even some hockey for Joe. There's only 3 games in the NHL. I even have a couple of college football stories for Joe this hour because, I guess we said, tough time of the year for Joe. Gets very upset. Needs like a small slither of football every day just to keep him going. That's for sure. Of course, Joe's with me every Tuesday and Wednesday here on C2C, the extended version of the very popular SportsGrid radio show, Carver and Lisi, which airs weeknights at 8 p.m. I want to give this update, Joe. Before you were on, I talked about just the awful situation in Kansas City today after the parade with the shooting that happened there. Authorities say now 1 person dead, 3 critically injured in that parade shooting. They have 3 suspects in custody. I just saw a video, Joe. I guess one of the gunmen running away, and the fans that were in the crowd for the parade, they took the guy out. They jumped. 2 of them jumped on him, held him down until the cops came over and get him. Senseless, ridiculous. Can't believe we still go through it all the time, that we still deal with this stuff. But once again, Joe, just an awful situation in Kansas City today.
Yeah, it's amazing, Carver. Our thoughts and prayers go out to all the victims. And, you know, the fans were there to celebrate the Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl back-to-back, and they have to deal with this. So just tragic circumstances. And, again, our hearts and prayers go out to everyone involved.
They certainly do. And if there's any more updates to that story, of course, we'll let you know here on the grid. Okay, Joe. Also this hour, we got Keith Stewart. We'll finish off Golf Wednesdays on C2C. Keith's out at the Genesis in Los Angeles at Riviera to finish off the picks for this weekend. Big event. Tigers playing. That makes it an even bigger event with the elevated field. We welcome in all of our radio affiliates for El Coast to Coast here on a Wednesday. Carver High and Joe in for Scotty. SportsGrid Radio, Sirius XM. Channel 159, Sports Byline. Great to have you all with us here today. Okay, Joe, I got 4 other NBA games for you for tonight. Like I said, a very big slate here before the All-Star break. Tomorrow night will be the last night, only 3 games. Sacramento, after losing in Phoenix last night, Joe, has to go to Denver tonight. That's a very tough back-to-back. Nuggets minus 5.5, 229.5 the total. Looks like no Murray. He's out. Murray's doubtful, whatever they have him listed as there. But I'm not sure it's going to matter, Joe. You got a fresh Nugget team. They also got pounded by the Kings. I think it was a week and a half ago. Maybe it was last Friday, whatever. I think this is a big spot. We lay it with Denver here, Joe.
I'm going to take the points. I think the Kings might have their number. They might not have their number in the postseason, but in the regular season, what have they gotten? 5.5, 6? I'll take that. Give me that, and I think we're under because of Murray tonight. 228, 229 in that area. Under. Sold.
It's 5.5 and 229.5 right now, Joe, is where we are at.
Sold.
So that's what you have. Sold. Selling.
Under.
Sell it. Detroit, who lost last night in Los Angeles against the Lakers, did not cover tonight. They are in Phoenix against the Suns, who also played, Joe, with that win over Sacramento. Minus 13.5 for Phoenix. 237.5 is the total. Obviously, Beal is out with the hamstring after getting hurt last night. Cade Cunningham probable for Detroit. You know, before last night, Joe, Detroit had a real good road trip. 2 outright wins in Sacramento and Portland. They covered a number very similar to this against the Clippers. You know, they just missed last night covering this number. This is heavy, and I've seen the Suns not cover numbers like this already this year. I think I'm going to take the points with Detroit.
Me too.
I can see the Suns, Joe, getting ready. Like we said, all these big dogs on the Suns. Let me get my week off going here. They'll win the game, but I'm going to take that fat number with Detroit, 13.5.
Under, and I'm taking the points. under, and I'm taking the points. So
Under.
Suns should
Under
be
for
13.5 favorites over anybody this year. Too hot and cold. Too erratic.
The Lakers are in Utah against the Jazz. LeBron out, Joe, tonight. So no LeBron and AD questionable. And the funny part was I watched LeBron's postgame this morning, and he said he was going to play. So I got LeBron out. Minus 5.5 for the Jazz. 241.5 is the total. No LeBron. That's a big number. I know the Jazz play no D. Maybe we go to Reeves and Russell tonight. We'll go to Reeves and Russell with no LeBron.
I'm not doing props. Over. No LeBron. They're going to think under. Without LeBron and AD, let's go over 241. Maybe we alt that in the Atlanta game and take it with Hero.
Final game for you is a good one. The Clippers are in Golden State against the Warriors tonight. No Kawhi, Joe. He's out. Everybody else looks like they're good to go. Warriors minus 3.5, 237.5 the total here tonight.
I'm going to lay it, Carver. I'm going to lay it. I'm going to lay the short number. I'm going to lay it and the under. Lay it and the under.
I like the under also, Joe, believe it or not. I know I was giving you all my theories about some overs tonight, but I think this number was actually a little heavy at 237.5. And if the Clippers play their style, Joe, this is a dead under. If the Clippers can get the game in their kind of hands. So I'm going to go with you under. I'm not going to touch the side, though. I don't really want any piece of that. So there it is, Joe. 13 games in the NBA tonight for us to chew on, and a lot of props. I mean, Joe, you're on just about everybody tonight. You're on Hero. You're on the total in the Hawk Hornet game. Who else did you go with, Joe?
Kyrie.
Bulls, Kyrie.
Kobe White.
You got a big list here tonight. Kobe White, you got a huge list.
It's a smorgasbord. Right before.
What are you going to do for a week without the NBA?
I got nothing.
How are you going to get through this next week?
Oh, college hoops.
We will do college hoops later on. There's already been a lot of back and forth here today about this South Carolina-Auburn game tonight.
Yeah,
there's been a lot of back and forth. People are standing their ground, Joe, in terms of where they want to be for this South Carolina-Auburn game.
Dug into the foxhole, aren't
digging
you?
In. Well,
crazy like a fox. You're crazy
like a fox. And I know
that
me and Coach are on one side of the wall. That's for sure for this South Carolina-Auburn game.
Oh, really? Even better. Even better. That's a confirmation for me. Alt.
And I got a feeling Joe is going to be on the other side of the wall for this South Carolina game. So we'll do that later on. We will come back, though, and we will finish Golf Wednesdays on C2C. We had Cam Stewart earlier. We did the outrights, the top 10s, 20s, the first-round leader bombs. Keith Stewart is there at Riviera getting ready for the Genesis. Tiger is playing this week, which makes it even better than it would have been either way with this elevated event. So we'll come back. Keith Stewart, read the line, and we'll get his picks for this weekend out at Riv. Ferrall Coast to Coast. We're back on the grid right after this.
$200 million in the state of New York in sports betting, half of that going to the state. All thumbs up, I guess, across the board here, right?
Yeah, New York just continues to be the standard bearer for the industry. People are betting a ton on NFL. We've still got March Madness coming up. This is really the prime time for the U.S. sports calendar with the NFL playoffs, Super Bowl, and then college basketball, NBA, NHL in full swing.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
You a hat guy? Oh, I've got hats. I've got a jillion hats. I hear I don't have as many hats as you, but I don't. You don't. I have a hat bag.
He has a hat bag.
I have a hat bag. I carry this
around. That's not a purse or man bag. It's a hat bag.
This is it. Look, I love it. I got to go everywhere. And by the way, the whole Randy Moss receiver versus Randy Moss TV guy, the mistaken identity and all that. How can you confuse us, right? He's got hair. He's got hair, and I don't.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Scoring 19.7 points per game, 13.1 rebounds, and 8.2 assists. How can a center that is top 50 in scoring, first in rebounding, 7th in assists, and 8th in field goal percentage not make the All-Star team? That is such a huge snub for Domantas Sabonis.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
That's been to a sporting event. The atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
And we are back for El Coast to Coast here on a Wednesday. Carver High in for Scotty, SportsGrid Radio. Great to have you with us. Every week we have Keith Stewart with us from Read the Line. Of course, Golf Wednesdays on Coast to Coast, getting you ready for the PGA Tour event this weekend. It is another good one, elevated event out at Riviera in Los Angeles, the Genesis Invitational. This is Tiger's tournament. Tiger is playing this week. And thank God, Keith, for once, I don't got to ask you about weather when you come on for the weekly spot. Brutal last week at the Waste Management. Brutal at Pebble the week before. Tell me the sun is shining out at Riviera, Keith, please.
When I left Phoenix on Monday, Carver, and good afternoon Wednesday, right? When I left Phoenix on Monday and I landed here, palm trees and sun, I kissed the asphalt. I was so happy to be out of the last two places I've been, you know. And I was in the desert, and it was warmer at home where you guys are than it was out here. Yeah. I didn't know what to do with myself. I mean, the desert was a mess in a lot of ways, and I'm sure we'll get there. But one thing's for sure, the weather was not my friend. Certainly not at Pebble either.
Let's do that quick because I want to get to this great card that we have this week here at the Genesis. Yep. The Waste Management has always been known as the party tournament on tour for years and years and years and years now. It seemed, though, Keith, from listening to some of the golfers, listening to some of the things that went on there, that it was a little over the top this year. You were there. You were on the other side of the ropes. Please tell me, was all of this warranted, this chatter about how crazy the Waste Management was?
I can tell you this much, Carver. From being there, if you thought it looked bad on TV, it was worse live. Saturday was like the second celebration of Caligula. It was totally out of control. They normally let in about 250,000 people. They estimate 400,000 people were in there. The Thunderbirds lost control of this thing. It was kind of a mess for the players, certainly with all the stoppages. And then some guys, you know, the AM/PM wave didn't play again until Saturday after they played Thursday morning. It's good to turn the page, and there's no better way to turn the page than to have the man, the needle, come back into the golf ecosystem here and hopefully set us straight and get this thing kicked off with about, 7 weeks to go to Augusta.
And the last time we saw Tiger Woods, of course, in a big tournament was Augusta last year, 2023 Masters. He's had a lot of time off. Look, I watched the videos too, Keith, yesterday of him at the practice round. Dude's hitting bombs. We know that he's crushing it, but it's a practice round, and we've seen the practice rounds. We've even seen good Thursdays and Fridays. We still have to see Tiger, and we love watching him, Keith, but we still need to see Tiger, since the accident 3 years ago, play 4 really solid rounds where it doesn't look like he's in agony on Saturday and Sunday.
Carver, I was here a year ago, and the step, the gait, the walk, it all looks 100% better. He looks the healthiest he's been since February 23rd, 2021, on the day of the car accident. I mean, he looks a lot better. Pro-Am today, I walked with him for probably 15 holes, and I had to come in and come see you. But first hole of the day, bombs a drive. It's a short, reachable par 5. Iron to the green, makes the putt, eagle, let's go, right? So you're right. This is Wednesday. It'll be his 4th round on Saturday of the week. It'll be his 5th round on Sunday. So let's see how it goes. But for right now, I am very cautiously optimistic about his health. And I think that, well, we'll get into it probably in the prop market, but I have some optimism there.
I do as well. Let's start with your outrights here, Keith. And you have a couple names. Once again, I love when we're reading the same mail. And right at the top, we're reading the same mail with the young man from Sweden.
So, hey, the kid, I love to call him, right? Ludwig Aubert. And everyone's saying, Keith, you've lost your mind. Everyone has to play here before. There's 8 rookies, and he's one of them here at this event. Guess what? How many times have 6 bombs won in a year, in a season, in a row on the PGA Tour? It hasn't happened. You know what? Things are upside down this year. I'm taking a guy at the top of the board. Hey, since he joined the tour, there's only 2 guys that have a scoring average better than him. One's Scotty, the other is Rory. The kid's 3rd. By all means, he does everything right that you need to do in order to play well here. Love him at the top. And he can putt. So as we talked about this last week, my next guy, right, slamming Sammy Burns, for sure, at plus 2,500, I just can't stand taking these guys at the top of the board that can't putt anymore. Sam, the way he was hitting the driver last week, he's hitting as good as he ever has in his career. And in 2021, I want you to think about this for a second, Carver. 2021, Sam finished 3rd here. 5 events later, he goes on to win at Valspar. Sam can play here, and he can putt. So, right there at the top of the chalk area, those are my 2 names. How about yourself?
Look, I'm with you on Aubert. I'm going to be in with him. I was with Burns the last couple of weeks. I'm staying away this week. I caught a JT at 22-1 on Monday morning, and now it's moved up to 16. Right. I love the way that Justin Thomas is playing, so that's where I'm at. I am with you on Tigala as well, who you have on your board at 35-1. And I also am with you on Tom Hoagie Sandwich, Keith, because he has played great golf the last few weeks. He's 125-1. We got to at least put 100 or more guy in every week with what's gone on so far. He's been top 25 every week.
Hey, if you want a local kid, Thigala's the guy. He's been playing great. 2nd at the Century, 5th at the WMPO. He's been around it right now. He was 6th last year here. He could putt the POA, right? And he's a local kid. So if you love the Max Homa stories of the world of those guys coming in and closing here, you got to love Thigala. And he can putt that POA grass, which is important. And when it comes down to approach play right now, there's only 2 guys since the start of the season that are hitting it better with their irons than Tom Hoagie. One Scotty Scheffler, the other is Lucas Glover. Neither one of them can get the ball in the hole. Tom's won in 2022 at Pebble, on POA before, on the West Coast. If we're going to go triple-digit bomb, the way he's been hitting it the last 2 weeks, the way I watch him on the range, the guy, it's like lasers. I love it. It's radar, locked in.
He's gonna win one of these weeks, Keith. I'm telling you. He's going to be in the situation on Sunday with a chance to win a tournament if he keeps playing the way that he has. All right. Give me the placements here. Give me the props, the 5, the 10, the 20, the 30. You have a bunch of names that I'm on is here too. And I love the fun Tiger bet because Tiger's playing, Keith. We got to do something with Tiger this weekend.
All right, first, we'll start. Why Scotty at a top 5 number? This is how I'm going to start playing Scotty. I'm taking him at top 5, and then if I can live bet him, I'm all over live betting him. If I can't, if I lose that opportunity, at least at the end of the week when the putter goes cold, I still have him like in each way. The kid, we already talked about him, solid top 10, 2-1 right there. Adam Scott, everybody's all over him this week. 15 starts here, 7 top 10s, 2 wins. He loves the smell of the eucalyptus trees. Come on. You're getting positive money on a top 20 for a guy that loves this place, and he's playing that good right now. Sahith, we spoke about him. I'm on the plane from Phoenix over here to LAX. Who's sitting in the row next to me? Christian Bezuidenhout. That's right. South Africans grow up on Kikuyu grass just like Australians. That's why they both play well at Riviera. That's what we have here on the fairways, the approaches, and in the rough. So he played well out there at Waste Management. The golf course, they got a lot of rain here. But I'm going to tell you something, Carver. Here's a little insider from being here at Riviera. The place has some bounce to it. It's bumping a little bit. So the ball's going to roll out in the fairways. The ball's going to bounce off these greens. A shorter guy like Bezuidenhout can do it. Hoagie we spoke about, and Tiger Woods for sure. Can he beat half the field? There's only 71 guys here. Top 30 for him, 2-1. Love it.
And quickly, the head-to-heads, Keith. I got like 30 seconds left. Give them to me.
All right. Thigala over Finau. Finau's lost with the putter, gaining strokes in 6 straight events. And the other one, I'm taking Colin over Max. Max, I don't know what the struggles are, but I don't think that the homecoming here is his time. I like Colin there. Hey, it's gorgeous at Riviera. Let's just enjoy the sun this weekend. We don't have any football to distract us. We're here. Tiger Woods. Take it all in, Carver.
We are all in on golf now, Keith. I absolutely love it. Keith Stewart, read the line. Let's have a big weekend, Keith, out at Riv. And next week, the Tony Finau Invitational, the Mexico Open. Let's go. We'll talk to you then. We're back coast to coast right after this.
Over $200 million in the state of New York in sports betting, half of that going to the state. All thumbs up, I guess, across the board here, right?
Yeah, New York just continues to be the standard bearer for the industry. People are betting a ton on NFL. We've still got March Madness coming up. This is really the prime time for the U.S. sports calendar with the NFL playoffs, Super Bowl, and then, college basketball, NBA, NHL in full swing.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
You a hat guy? Oh, I've got hats. I've got a jillion hats. I hear I don't have as many hats as you, but I don't.
You don't. I have a hat bag. He has a hat bag.
I have a hat bag. I carry this
around. That's not a purse or man bag. It's a hat bag.
This is it. Look,
I love it.
I got to go everywhere.
And by the way, the whole Randy Moss receiver versus Randy Moss TV guy, the mistaken identity and all that. How can you confuse us, right? He's got hair. He's got hair, and I don't.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Scoring 19.7 points per game, 13.1 rebounds, and 8.2 assists. How can a center that is top 50 in scoring, first in rebounding, 7th in assists, and 8th in field goal percentage not make the All-Star team? That is such a huge snub for Domantas Sabonis.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
That's been to a sporting event. The atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
And we are back for El Coast to Coast here on a Wednesday. Carver High, Joe Lisi in for Scotty on SportsGrid and SportsGrid Radio. Great to have you aboard. We're going to get to the college hoops in a moment. I did have a few NFL things for you, Joe. Like I said, we try to keep Joe happy when football ends and give him just a few nuggets just to keep him going here. Now, if I would have known earlier this morning, Joe, that Kyle Shanahan was going to chop Steve Wilks today, I would have got the clip of him at his press conference yesterday saying that he didn't anticipate any changes to his coaching staff. I would have got him saying that. Instead, though, Joe, I do have him talking about, of course, not winning big games. We've been through it time and time again. He's lost another Super Bowl here. Kyle Shanahan doesn't really want to hear any of that, Joe.
I mean, you'd love to fix perception because I would love to win one for what I know about football and stuff. And I know if I fix perception, that means I did everything I wanted to do, which isn't fix perception. It's win a damn Super Bowl. But I also know, like, when you say big games, like, we've got to win a bunch of big games to get to Super Bowls. We've won a lot of big games here. We've won a lot of big games to get in the playoffs. The fact that we keep getting there shows you guys how much we win games are big games, and I think you guys are aware of that. But it's, these 2 Super Bowls have been tough, losing to Kansas City. But to think that if we win that means I can win a big game. No, that means our team won the Super Bowl. And that's what I understand. You guys can have any narrative you want, but like the success or the failure, it comes down to one game. And I hope that I can be a part of a team that wins a game at the end of the year. But to say that the Niners can't win a big game would be an extremely inaccurate statement.
Wow. Inaccurate statement, Joe, he says. That's an extremely inaccurate statement. I guess, I guess beating the Lions was a big game. Beating the Packers was a big game. I don't think they're the biggest games, but I guess they do constitute big games, right, Joe? All playoff games are big games. Then what do we need to, I guess, call the Super Bowl something else? It's a Super Bowl, right? It's more than a big game. It's the game. And it's the game that you're judged on. When you win as much as he has, you get judged by winning that game. That's how it goes.
And if it wasn't such a big game, why did Kyle Shanahan look like he ate a bad plate of eel after he came off the sidelines? He looked green. That's how bad. He looked like he was going to throw up. That's how bad Kyle Shanahan looked after that. If it wasn't that big of a game, why didn't he come off with a smile on his face? Huh? He's still getting paid. How much does he get paid? 10 million, 11 million. He should have changed the press conference hat. That hat was atrocious. I'll tell you that. Maybe that's a start.
Man.
Let's change the wardrobe a little bit.
All over the lid, huh? You don't like his lid that he wore out there to the press conference.
Not a fan
Joe,
of the
not
lid.
a fan.
Not a fan.
Not a fan of the lid. All right. They also, because it was breakup day for San Francisco. Now, I told you about this, but I thought you'd like it better if you actually got to see it. And this was Brandon Ayuk at his locker at the end of the season here for the Niners talking about, Joe, the social media posts that were put up by his girlfriend, his brother, himself, kind of making it seem like he didn't want to be with the Niners anymore. Let's get him to clarify that.
Brandon, there's been some stuff on social media. Is there a certain message that you want to get out there as you kind of enter this offseason and there might be contract talks?
A certain message? No.
Is your hope to remain with the 49ers moving forward?
If that's the right move, yeah.
What would that right move look like for you?
Being a champion.
If that's the right move, Joe, yeah, that's how we would stay with the Niners. If that's the right move. I don't know,
Wants
Joe.
to be a champion.
Wants to be a champion, I guess. Wanted
Go
the
to
rock.
KC.
Didn't
Go
get
to
the
KC.
pill.
They
Go to KC.
They certainly didn't give him the pill, did they?
No, they did not give him the rock. No, but that that's the game plan, Joe. Unfortunately, he didn't get the ball that much. The Chiefs' defense was very good in that game. They get credit too.
Yeah, I know, and we're talking like Spagnuolo. I know a day.
Oh, no hat tip to Spagnuolo, huh? From Joe, I figured that'd be one of your guys.
Yeah, he's Italian. I like him, but I think I could attack that defense. Give me the Niners offense and let me call the plays. I would have sliced and diced them. sliced and diced.
The Niners do have a very, very tough hill to climb, Joe, in this aspect. Despite being the favorites next year, as we went through yesterday at the 5-1, in the past 30 years, only once has the Super Bowl loser gone back to the Super Bowl the next season. Once in 30 years. Niners will try to change that next year, Joe.
That's incredible. That really is. The loser has only came back. So I'm trying to think. Was it modern day? I'm trying to think who lost. Was it the Dolphins that lost?
No. Well, last 30 years, Joe. Dolphins haven't been there in the last 30 years. The last 30
I thought
years.
it was all time. Last 30 years.
Last 30
Basically
years.
1993 till now. So
right, and I think,
is it the Bills?
The Bills had the 4 in a row. I don't know if they're starting from. That might be starting from the 4th Bills Super Bowl. So I would have to look, Joe, who the other one is that went back after the loss. We'd have to go and get our crack committee on that. No,
is it the
not
Rams?
the Rams, Joe. Not the Rams. Not the Rams. We will get that for you, Joe. Who went back the next year?
The Rams won and then went back the following year, right?
Correct. No, it was the other year. They skipped a year, Joe. It was Rams, then Ravens, then the Rams went back and lost to the Patriots.
Was it Seattle?
No. Seattle was a little bit of a gap as well. So Joe, we'll figure out who that one team was.
We'll figure it out.
With that. That's actually, Joe, who it is isn't really the important part of that. I'll find out
They
for
got no
you.
shot. That's why I said, Carver, it's a bigger discussion.
30 years. What they're going to try to pull
discussion. Let me ask you this. If that's the narrative, okay, and those are the numbers, that suggests that the Niners aren't going to go to the Super Bowl, which means more regression out of Kyle Shanahan, which means two things. Did the 49ers miss their window, or is Shanahan best off moving to another team to eventually win a title like Andy Reid? That's the biggest question. Because if they have no shot to get back to the Super Bowl, then you have to ask, if Debo's a year older, McCaffrey, all right, Purdy's younger, but then what are you going to get? What's the nucleus of the team then?
Yeah, look, I understand, Joe. No doubt. No doubt I do get that. But that's I don't think they're going to get back. I agree with this trend. It is extremely difficult to get all the way back after doing that, and I do not see them doing that for sure. The Rams lost in 19, and then they went back 2 years later when they beat the Bengals. That was at SoFi, Joe. So I'm going to have to find you all of that later. Kelsey did say that bumping into Andy Reid and yelling at him was unacceptable. Well, I'm glad it took him 3 days to say that, Joe. That it was unacceptable to bang into Reid and yell at him.
Well,
that got brushed away because they won. They lose that game,
that's what I was...
that becomes a much bigger story, and that's probably all you hear. We would have spent as much time on that on Monday if they lost as we did with Shanahan on which way he, taking the ball in overtime. We would have spent more time, as much time on Kelsey bumping into Reid and yelling at him at the end of the first half.
Absolutely, and if Kelsey didn't have a big second half performance, that would have even been more magnified, right? With the shouting, the fact that he stepped up on the field, and then they win the Super Bowl. Why? What were you going to say?
No, I saw the video today of, because now all the guys mic'd up, all that stuff starts to come out, like the Inside the NFL. So all those clips are starting to make their way out on social media. And right before the show, I saw the clip of the coin toss of them getting together and them talking beforehand. And Mahomes and Reid had it all figured out. If we win, we're giving them the ball. We're taking the ball second. They had the whole thing mapped out. Shanahan and the crew on the other side weren't as solid with it. Oh, he was solid with it. He said, we want the ball. So Mahomes comes back after the coin toss, and everyone on the Kansas City sideline was like stunned that they wanted it. He's like, they want it? All right, we got what we wanted. We wanted it. Like the coaches, Kelsey, they're all going, we wanted it. They want the ball. All right. They're going to give us the ball second. We're winning this thing. So I don't know if that signifies more, Joe, the wrong move that Shanahan made in that spot, but kind of does tell you the Chiefs were a lot more prepared for that situation than the Niners probably were at the end of the day, Joe. They were probably more prepared for it.
The Walrus had him locked and loaded. The Walrus.
The Walrus had him locked and loaded there, that's for sure. All right, Joe, there you go. I gave you a little taste with the football.
Not enough.
So that was not enough. What more can I give you there? I got some college at the end for you. I do have a couple college footballs. I got the Sean Foster for you later after we do the college basketball. That's got to excite you. A little Big Ten football? UCLA in the Big Ten? There you go. Klevikoff getting chopped? I got that for you later on also.
We'll see.
It's not good enough for Joe. Joe needs more. It's just not good enough for him. Well, we are going to do the college basketball when we come back.
I don't get me boost up.
Of course, this South Carolina-Auburn game tonight, which has been very talked about. Ferrall Coast to Coast on a Wednesday. Carver High and Joe for Scotty. We are back on the grid right after this.
$200 million in the state of New York in sports betting, half of that going to the state. All thumbs up, I guess, across the board here, right?
Yeah, New York just continues to be the standard bearer for the industry. People are betting a ton on NFL. We've still got March Madness coming up. This is really the prime time for the U.S. sports calendar with the NFL playoffs, Super Bowl, and then college basketball, NBA, NHL in full swing.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
You a hat guy? Oh, I've got hats. I've got a jillion hats. I hear I don't have as many hats as you, but I don't.
You don't. I have a hat bag.
He has a hat bag.
I have a hat bag. I carry this
that's
around.
That's not a purse or man bag.
This
It's
is
a hat
ridiculous.
bag.
This is it. Look,
I love it.
I got to go everywhere.
And by the way, the whole Randy Moss receiver versus Randy Moss TV guy, the mistaken identity and all that. How can you confuse us, right? He's got hair. He's got hair, and I don't.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Scoring 19.7 points per game, 13.1 rebounds, and 8.2 assists. How can a center that is top 50 in scoring, first in rebounding, 7th in assists, and 8th in field goal percentage not make the All-Star team? That is such a huge snub for Domantas Sabonis.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
That's been to a sporting event. The atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
And we are back for El Coast to Coast here on a Wednesday. Carver High and Joe Lisi in for Scotty, SportsGrid Radio. BetMGM, they're giving away free money. No, I'm not kidding. They're giving away free money. What do you got to do? About downloading the BetMGM Sportsbook app on iOS or Android or visiting BetMGM.com. Sign up and deposit at least $5 into your newly created account. This is for new customers. Place a wager in the amount of at least $5 at standard odds price. And once you've placed a bet, you'll receive $150 in bonus bets. It doesn't matter if you win or lose. This is regardless of the outcome of your wager. So bet 5, get $150. You got to use bonus code SG150. That is SG150. And BetMGM will make that happen for you. Giving away free money. Plenty of opportunities to use it too. We've got hoops. We've got hockey. We've got golf going on this week. So get involved over at BetMGM. All right, Joe. College basketball for tonight. Let me just first say to you, nice job by you yesterday with Pitt. You liked Pitt with the points down there in Virginia at Charlottesville. You even said yesterday, even outright, they're going to win the game. And sure enough, won by 11, Joe. They stormed them in the second half down there and took care of business.
Yeah, it was amazing. I actually jumped in game two, plus 5.5. They were down 40-38. You could have got them at that time, I think, plus 168. Just a second half rampage. They just bounced. They were hitting the glass, hitting threes. Very athletic. I tell you, Virginia's a tricky team. They either blow you out or they lose outright. So there is no in between, right? So, no, it's the truth. When they lay 4.5, or 5.5, it's like any other team laying double digits, Carver.
It is. Every time that I think also, Joe, that I'm going to go get myself a North Carolina ticket for Final Four, for to win the whole thing. Like the first time I thought about it, they went that out and they lost to Georgia Tech. Right. I said, let me wait. They beat Duke. Then they lose to Syracuse. I get these games are on the road, Joe, but these are has-been teams. I know. Lose to Georgia Tech and Syracuse. These teams aren't good, and they lose last night to them. So I'm very hesitant. But I guess, Joe, you could say that about it. Most of these teams, they all have some bad road losses on their resume at some point or another. We did the story about Indiana State being in the top 25 for the first time since Larry Bird was on the team in 78-79. Well, that'll be short-lived, Joe, because they lost at home as 17.5-point favorites last night to Illinois State. So I guess we'll see the Sycamores out of the top 25 after Wisconsin beat Ohio State, and then today Ohio State chopped Chris Holtmann, the head coach. He's finished, and he had like 4 or 5 years left on his deal, so he's going to get himself a nice fat check and get himself out of Columbus. Marquette beat Butler. Illinois beat Michigan by 29. Joe, good effort by Michigan, losing by 29 to Illinois. And a good win. Go ahead. You want to say it? What do you want to say?
I want to say Juwan Howard. I'll put him on upset. He's on the hot seat. Juwan Howard has ran the Michigan program into the ground. If he wasn't an NBA player, or more importantly, a part of the Fab Five, he would have been out the door already. He took what Beeline built and he ran it right into the ground. After the first couple of seasons when they lost the kid Smith, what was that, 3 years ago during the COVID year? And they had Dickinson too. Once that team was dismantled, he hasn't done anything. Hasn't recruited, hasn't coached up. Like seriously now. When does Juwan Howard start to feel the heat?
Joe going after him in Ann Arbor. Good win for Providence also. They beat St. John's. Gutless. 75-72, good win for Providence against Patino and the crew over at the Dunk. I wanted to give you this. We're going to try to get this in weekly and even more stuff with the college, and that is the odds to win it all. I just think it's funny, Joe, that Connecticut and Purdue have the same odds. Connecticut's the defending champs. They've proven that they can win. Purdue loses in a tournament every year. I get they got the monster Edie. I understand all that. UConn should be the solo favorite. Now, these two teams have put themselves ahead of everyone else, Joe, because they don't have the sloppy losses that the other ones do have. I mean, Purdue had a couple in early January. They lost to Northwestern. Yeah. But still, and Connecticut lost to Seton Hall. But either way, these other teams too, Joe. Houston, Arizona. Tennessee's a no-fly zone for me.
They can't win on the road. Any of those teams. The only team that would get my money would be UConn. I can't bet. Like, I love Arizona, but Arizona's a glass house come tournament time.
Yeah. Look, we did this talk on the radio last week or 2 weeks ago. The teams in the 60 to 100 range, one or two of those teams are going to make the Final Four. You got to figure out which ones. You got to probably have a couple different combinations, but somebody in that group, one or two, like last year, San Diego State, FAU, even Miami was not a chalk pick. That's for sure, to get to the Final Four. You're going to get one or two of those teams back in there. That's just the way that college basketball is now, Joe. You'll have those chances. Let's get to tonight. We have several games for us. We'll start in Happy Valley, where Michigan State comes to visit the Nittany Lions here. Michigan State is road favorite, -3.5. Notre Dame is 3.5-point favorites at home against Georgia Tech. We're going to go under there, Joe, with that 132.5. Miami getting 7.5 at Clemson. Seton Hall -2.5 at home against Xavier. And there it is, Joe, our game of the night. Number 11, South Carolina, visiting Auburn, who's also, I believe they're 14, 15, wherever they are. And Auburn is 11.5-point favorites. South Carolina's 21-3. They've got tons of huge wins in the SEC this year. I'm like looking, Joe, like, is somebody hurt? What's the story here? No, 11.5. That's the number. You laying it, Joe?
Yeah, I'm laying it. It's the best bet tonight, Carver, because, again, I think they're sucking you into taking that. They got you hook, line, and sinker.
It's a rat line. It's very fugazi. It is a very rat line. I'm scared of it.
Rat line.
But
rat line. I'm laying it with Bruce Pearl. They're dominant. Auburn's a dominant home team. I will come to figure every time Auburn lays double digits against an SEC East team, they're, 99-1 ATS against another. There's probably some stupid stat that backs up that line. I'm laying it. How about that? Pound them tonight.
I'm not. I'm taking it, Joe. I'm going to take the 11.5 with Auburn. I'm trying to find if there is any.
I like Miami, too. Plus the 7.5. Last time Miami went on the road, they got absolutely smacked by Virginia. They can hang. Clemson's doesn't have the defense that Virginia has. So there's no, they can run with them, I think, Miami. So I actually like Miami. Don't be shocked if they win outright. Miami-Auburn parlay tonight.
Ooh, Miami-Auburn parlay. You said it. I'll take South Carolina money line as well.
Okay, hero.
In
All right,
Auburn.
hero.
Okay. We'll have that one. What time's that game tip, Joe? What time's that game tip? We got the Auburn
Miami's
game. We got to be on for that, right? No, Auburn, 8:30 East. So we'll be on. We'll be on during the South Carolina-Auburn game
could be
tonight
right
on the
in
radio
the balance.
side.
Could be right in the balance.
Be right in the balance. Iowa is at Maryland tonight at College Park. The Terrapins -5.5. Now, UConn laying 24.5 on the road at DePaul. Tennessee laying 8.5 in Arkansas against the Razorbacks. Yeah. Arizona State -6.5 at home. And our Mountain West game of the night, Utah State laying 7.5 in Laramie against the Cowboys, Joe.
So I don't think Tennessee should be laying 8.5 to anybody on the road. I'll tell you that right now. Give me Musselman plus the points. I know they're a little up and down, but look, Tennessee is gutless. We know that, especially on the road. SEC game, give me the 8.5. And I'm going to take, how about this? How about Oregon State plus the 6.5 on the road in Tempe? I sort of like the Beavers. They could be barking as a road dog. Beavers don't bark, but they might be tonight.
I like Maryland tonight, Joe, honestly.
Yeah,
minus the 5.5 at home against Iowa. I kind of looked there first. Utah State's really good. But I don't know about late. It's up to 8.5 now. It was 7.5 earlier this morning. I think if I can get one more, I can get the one more, Joe. I might go Wyoming tonight at home in that game. And UNLV's 4.5-point favorites on the road at Fresno as well in the late night Mountain West action too. I have one other game for you, Joe, that I wanted to bring to your attention because I've seen this making the rounds a lot today. 0-26 Detroit Mercy, who, of course, out of the Horizon Conference, they are home tonight for IUPUI. They don't have a win, Joe, this year. They are 5.5-point favorites over this team. Now, IUPUI is 6-20, so they ain't any good either. They were 2.5-point favorites on the road at their place in late December, and they lost by 12. All right, Joe, you laying 5.5 with the 0-26 team tonight?
No, I'm going to take it. No, this is a way to get money. I am not laying 5. Gutless team like that, 0-26. No way. No shot. Give me the points. This is a suck me in special.
Shot
book
for Joe.
Book
no shot tonight.
I know this is a system play for you, but you got no shot. No way.
It's really not, Joe. I'm not going to lie. I don't know if I want to be involved with these two teams. Like, I've seen, this has obviously gotten a lot of attention today because they're 0-26 and they're laying 5.5. If I was playing this game, I'd probably lay it with Detroit Mercy.
No,
I'd lay the 5.5. I'd
why?
lay it. Because it makes no sense. I have to go with Detroit Mercy laying the 5.5 if I was going to go anywhere, Joe. There you go. College hoops tonight. There's a few other mid-major games. We'll talk about those on the radio show coming up at 8 o'clock East, me and Joe on the radio side. Hockey tonight, only 3 games, Joe. Let me get them in quickly. I had some other future stuff, but we'll put that on the back burner. The Panthers are in Pittsburgh. Hockey night at the PPG. Where they are road favorites, minus 126 flat is the total here in this one. This one's on the TV tonight. This is a TNT game. I like the Panthers, Joe, here on the road, and I like this over 6.
I like the over 6 too, and I'll lay it with the Panthers. I'm with you.
Heavy lumber game of the night is in Winnipeg, where the Jets are now minus 450, Joe. Minus 450, plus 340 for the Sharks. 5.5 is in this one, Joe.
I'm going to take the Sharks in the upset. How about that? Plus 340. What do you think about that?
If they were at home, I would do that. I would not do that on the road. I will not go with that. I will go, Joe, with the under 5.5 in a nice, clean 3-0 win for the Jets. And the Wild are in Arizona tonight against the Coyotes. Pretty much even game here. Minus 115. Slight favorite for the Wild now. Flat 6 the total. I'm on the over in this one as well, Joe. Over 6 tonight at the College Rink.
I'm with you. Give me over 6, Carver. I like it. I like the look. Over the 6. What do you think?
Hockey for you there. I do have one college football clip for you, Joe. When we come back, I will let you leave with some college. Ferrall Coast to Coast. We're back after this.
$200 million in the state of New York in sports betting, half of that going to the state. All thumbs up, I guess, across the board here, right?
Yeah, New York just continues to be the standard bearer for the industry. People are betting a ton on NFL. We've still got March Madness coming up. This is really the prime time for the U.S. sports calendar with the NFL playoffs, Super Bowl, and then, college basketball, NBA, NHL in full swing.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
You a hat guy?
Oh, I've got hats. I've got a jillion hats. I hear I don't have as many hats as you, but I don't.
You don't. I have a hat bag.
He has a hat bag.
I have a hat bag. I carry this
that's
around.
That's not a purse or man bag.
This
it's
is
a hat
ridiculous.
bag.
This is it. Look,
I love it.
I got to go everywhere.
And by the way, the whole Randy Moss receiver versus Randy Moss TV guy, the mistaken identity and all that. How can you confuse us, right? He's got hair. He's got hair, and I don't.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Scoring 19.7 points per game, 13.1 rebounds, and 8.2 assists. How can a center that is top 50 in scoring, first in rebounding, 7th in assists, and 8th in field goal percentage not make the All-Star team? That is such a huge snub for Domantas Sabonis.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
That's been to a sporting event. The atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
And we're back. Ferrall Coast to Coast here on a Wednesday. Carver High, Joe Lisi in for Scotty. All right, Joe, I leave you with this today. A college football story. You love passion. You love the game. You love the sport. Chip Kelly out at UCLA, goes to be the offensive coordinator at Ohio State. So, who is in to save the day? Deshaun Foster, Joe, your new head coach at UCLA. And he's got the passion that Joe Lisi's looking for in college football.
I'm telling you, this is something I built for, y'all. I can do this. All right? I'm going to put all my passion into this.
Love it.
I'm here for these boys. I've been here for them, okay? I've been here for them. I'm going to get this team playing hard. My 3 pillars, discipline, respect, and enthusiasm. You're going to see it. You're going to feel it.
3 pillars.
All right? We're going to get this Rose Bowl back to how it needs to be. We're in L.A. We are UCLA. This is a real university. This isn't a part-time school. We win banners in every sport. We can do. I just got to get football back. I promise you, I'm the man to do this.
Just got to get football back, Joe. He's the man to do it.
Cover every week, baby. Just cover every week.
I even saw Garbers. I guess they had Garbers. He was at the press conference. He's like, yeah, Coach Kelly, it just, he was a great coach, but just it wasn't fun to play football. It's going to be fun with Coach Foster. So already, Joe, we Chip running out on the fellas, off to be an offensive coordinator. Gutless, Joe, as you always like to say. Gutless.
Yeah,
he knew he was going to get chopped
got
anyway.
Got us over in the Sun Bowl, though, against Nick Patty in Pittsburgh a couple of years ago.
Certainly did, Joe. Joe, great job. I'll see you tonight. 8 p.m. East on SportsGrid Radio for Carver and Lisi. And South Carolina Auburn will be on as well. That'll get everybody riled up. 13 games in the NBA tonight as well. Great job on Golf Wednesdays. Cam Stewart, Keith Stewart, Coach, Davis Maddock, Gabe, Scotty back tomorrow. Game Time Decisions is next. Ferrall Coast to Coast. Have a good night. Cash some tickets. See you tomorrow.